so much prettier
Okay.
when you've actually got the polarizer there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. So you're 11 days.
17.
Hey,
Yeah.
Harvey.
17.
Hi.
Hey. Cool. Cool. Well, I'm there on the 28th. So by the time you leave, I'm coming.
Oh, well, we'll still be there because we're going to
No.
Talkeetna, Denali, and Fairbanks after the cruise. And we don't get back until the 5th. So
Oh, super.
yeah, where are you going to be in on the 28th? You're going to Sitka?
Sitka, just Sitka.
Okay.
That's the only place we'll be.
We are going to be there.
You're just there for a day. What's your boat?
Yes. Viking.
Viking, which one?
Orion.
Orion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've got the cruise ship schedule based so that we can figure our times that we're in the city.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that we're not there on the days that
Bombarded with all the people coming out
the
of
big
ship.
boats are in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm
So
going to Walker to get grease and gravel.
Okay, thanks.
how are you, Sarah?
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. You all did a fabulous job. I'm just going to give a couple more minutes just to see if Jennifer comes in. I'm not positive whether she will or not. I already started the recording though.
I still have trouble with light painting. I love yours and I really am so I want to do this and I can't do it.
I'm right there with you, Lynette.
I don't know what my problem is. I did the light you said go around and I can see the lighted one, but I can see the dark spot, the dark spot between my lighted one and where I am.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so.
Well, Sarah's got a good example that might stimulate your brain just a little bit.
Yeah, intentionally, I put a whoops in there because I thought if nothing else, it was good for a laugh.
I ordered the Savage, but it did not arrive, so I don't know when it will come.
It'll come sometime. Yeah. Yeah. So you two were just busy beavers this week.
Yes.
I was disappointed this week. On Monday, I could see the beautiful moon. And then Tuesday, I waited. Of course, we went to the fireworks. And I said, where's the moon? Where's the moon? I want to take the moon with the fireworks. Where is it? Nah.
It got cloudy again this week. We had such a lovely week for the assignments last week when we had clear skies at night, but this week it's been more cloudy again. So
here too. And last night I went out at 10 or 10:30. Nothing. All I could see was cloud.
Yep. It's it's amazing because last week you all were able to do star trails.
Yeah.
On the clear nights.
And that was exciting. I was excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to have 2 days in Denali and 2 days in Talkeetna. And I'm thinking, I hope the sky will be clear and maybe I can do star trail.
Yeah. Now it's much harder though, Lynette, because up in Alaska right now, once the sun goes down, you have twilight almost all night long. So remember that you've got a different latitude going on right now.
Yeah.
And the sun doesn't go down for us in Sitka until 10:30 something.
Wow.
So it's a very late sun, and then the sunrise comes up in 4 something. And so you're probably not going to get any star trails, but you might be able to get something really neat because you've got twilight all night long.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm gonna bring my gear anyway. I'll have my tripod. I'll have my tripod for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to do another star trail this week, but there was it was too cloudy, and plus this moon is so bright right now.
Well, you use that to light up your foreground.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I went out each night and it's like, yeah, no, it's too many clouds. It's not gonna work. It was too overcast, too cloudy.
That's what I thought, Kathy, when I was taking the full moon on Monday. I should be able to get some nice foreground. No, I don't know what my problem was. I couldn't do it.
Huh. Well, it could be too, we should be able to, because I showed you the pictures of the moon illuminating the Chisos Mountains. It could be that there's just so much other ambient light that we don't notice it. So could be.
That could very well be the case.
Yeah.
Because both, I think, we have so much ambient light.
Because in Big Bend, for instance, on full moon night or right around, the full moon, we have moon shadows. So you've got your shadows just like you would have during the day. And they're lovely, So, okay, good stuff. Well, let's go ahead and get into your homework assignment. Lynette, you sent me your hummingbird, and I thought I would just tell you, this to me is a ruby-throated hummingbird. And something that I have noticed with ruby-throated hummingbirds, first of all, that's pollen right there on his top. Yeah. Something that I have noticed photographing immature ruby throats this time of year is that a lot of them have this rufous blush on their flanks or on this underneath their wings. And it gets very confusing because the field guides don't show this.
Harvey looked at all his books. I don't know what this bird is. I don't know what sent it to Fred Collins, sent it to whoever can tell him what it is.
Yeah. So, and it's that blush, but to me, it looks like this early fall ruby throat, juvenile.
Okay.
And I get them and it drives me crazy. And then Sarah, where you are, you've got the black chins.
That's just about all we have right here are the black chins.
Exactly. But you're going to get almost the same thing. And some of those immatures have this rufous, and it just is confusing because it doesn't show it in any of the books.
And I have the back part of it where you see the tail is spread out. And Harvey said, is that rounded or is that more this way?
Exactly. So it's that outer tail feather that you've got to watch for. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you.
Anyway, that's your little ruby throat. You did a good job on this. Okay. So Lynette, we start with you tonight or today.
Okay.
There you go. And where'd you go?
Katy Mills Mall, Texas Typhoon.
Okay.
What a mess. Oh my gosh. Everyone in Houston, I think, was there. But anyway, there was so much light, Kathy. And the way we have parked, of course, this is our first time. This is the first time I've ever tried to do this. And where we were, it was so bright, the floodlights, the night lights. And I said, and then across the street is a tall grass weeded, but they have a mowed area on a little part of it. So I said, let's go over there. So we did. That's where we went. And I did, because it was darker on that side. I did. You notice the green blurry stuff at the bottom. Weeds, and I didn't see that until later. I said, Harvey, no, it's right at the bottom.
It looks like big old trees to me. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
but anyway, I said, oh well, it just adds to the photo. What can I do?
It does. And you got all of these beautiful magentas. Those are really, really pretty in there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a good shot and good starburst on the lights. Yeah. And then here's your weeds. Oh, I can see your weeds now. Now they look like weeds. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kathy, on the side with all the reflection, that can't be helped. I just wish it was more. I wish I didn't have that. But what happens? How did that happen?
That's the smoke in the air. And it was a very humid night. And
Yes.
here on our fireworks, you've got to work really, really fast because this smoke builds up in the air and it
Mhm.
toward the end of the display, you
Yeah.
just have a whole smoky sky. And I even was downwind of the smoke one year, and we
Mhm.
were totally engulfed in smoke by the second firework.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, just totally. We were just totally in a cloud of smoke by the second time, by the second burst. Yeah. So there's
okay.
nothing you can do. You can
Okay.
darken it, you can kind of try to wipe it out, but there's really not much you can do.
It adds color.
Yeah. It does definitely adds color. Yeah. But I like your first one better.
I do too. I
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah. And then here's your light painting with your house.
So you can see the dark part and then the
Uh-huh.
lighter part. And that's the
Oh,
lighter part is where I went with my light around the house.
gotcha.
So I guess I should have gotten outside a little bit further closer to my camera to
Correct.
do it.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
But good deal. You're getting closer.
Or
getting-
how would it have been if you had actually been closer to the house and shining the light, and shining the light only on the house and not gotten so much light on the grass? Would that have worked too, Kathy?
It would have, yes.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
actually getting
Oh, I
closer to
see.
the house
Uh-huh.
maybe would have
Okay.
worked as well.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And I think I see your shadow right here. Yeah.
Oh, good eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then see
Okay.
those little indentations. I bet
Yes.
those are your legs.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So getting closer to the house, yeah, probably would have helped. And what was your light source? What are you using?
I had a headlight,
Okay. Okay.
but
okay.
I did not have it on my head. I had it on my hand and just
Mhm.
lighting it.
That's a good thing to do. Yeah. Good job. And then here's your little bitty moon.
Yes. I think this was 30 something
Yeah.
millimeter.
30 something millimeters. See how small you all both did this on your exercise. That moon, even though it looks great to your eye, it's
Yeah.
really tiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
This
that's
was before the full moon. And
Mhm.
this was still light, Kathy. That's why the color is more blue than
yes.
black.
Yes, more twilight.
The sun was still in the horizon.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay. But then I look out on the other end and there's the moon. And I said,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
that picture.
exactly. Exactly. Very good. You've got nice, tight, sharp focus. Very pretty. And look at the craters over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that big crater at the bottom, like a watermelon.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, it does
Yeah.
look like a watermelon.
This one, too, this big crater down the bottom, I forgot his name. I had an astronomer in class one year for this class. And when the photo is taken through a telescope, this big, huge crater is on the left, not on the right, because telescopes flip.
Oh,
And so all of the historical images that you see of the moon taken through a telescope, like in textbooks, that big crater's on the left, because that's the way astronomers see it, where photographers, we see it on the right.
wild.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting how it changes our view
Interesting.
based on the technology? Yeah. And then here's your little bitty moon. This is the full moon night, right?
This is the full moon. I think this is another 30 millimeter.
That's a 30 millimeter. You can see how small it is, but the exposure's good, you know. And then here you go to
And
105.
This is my 105, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
here's your 105, but your exposure's good.
And this is my long lens. I think
Yeah.
this was a 600.
660, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then here's when you crop it and blow it up.
Yes.
Mhm.
I wanted to see it close.
Yeah, yeah, you did a good job. And notice now we can't see much crater definition. So at this time, when it really is the full moon, we get a few craters that we can see up in this area, but we don't get much crater definition like we did when you saw it in the blue sky,
Yeah.
because we don't have any shadows from the
Yeah.
sun. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a slight different view, but good job. It's nice and clear.
Okay.
And then Sarah. So good job, Sarah.
Yes,
I
this
like that
was,
color.
this was at the Galleria. It's the first time we had gone there for fireworks. It's a big outdoor shopping area. And Dick went earlier in the day to scope out where they were setting up the fireworks. And you can see to the left bottom corner, there's what looks like a stage.
Uh-huh.
They had entertainment earlier. We thought the fireworks were going to be in the sky behind the stage. Well, you can see that they weren't. So we weren't in the best location. I've got that light pole right up through the center. But anyway,
And I see that now I
yes,
can see it. Did you clone out the light right
yes,
there?
I
Yeah. Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And it does show.
It does show, but only if you're looking at things like
Yeah,
that.
there
'Cause
was a bright light shining right at me, right there on that
Uh-huh.
pole, and it was just like this eyeball
Mhm.
looking right at me.
Yeah, that is just that happens. Oh, that's
Same-
beautiful.
You
Oh,
can
I
really
love that.
see, you can really see the light pole. There was no, and you can't get rid of it. And I was in a location where it was too late to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
On the previous expedition for fireworks, my exposures were so much longer than what I wanted them to be.
Uh-huh.
So this night I tried something different. I played with F8, I think, and F5.6, but I just set the shutter on ball, and I used my remote shutter release to open and close the shutter. So I controlled when it opened and I
Uh-huh.
controlled when it closed.
Uh-huh.
Because the other night when I had done it, it's like, I was getting 6-second exposures and there were too many fireworks going
Uh-huh.
up.
Mhm.
And so I did it that way. And it was still challenging, but at least I felt like, well, okay, that's enough for that one. I'll close it and then, start another.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is another way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, which was random.
Uh-huh.
You don't know what you're going to get until you get it. But
Yeah.
anyway.
And I love this little feathery drape right there. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
That is pretty.
Uh-huh. And then the little feathery edges of these too. So some good stuff.
Looks like
in there.
coconut trees.
It
Yes,
does.
it does. It does. That's pretty. Ooh, that's lovely.
That's
That
one
is pretty.
that I actually layered.
Uh-huh.
I had
Oh.
gotten a number of very short exposures that I took. And so I think that's actually 4 photographs that I layered together.
Very good. And that is one of the good things about fireworks is if you just don't move the tripod.
Yeah.
And so you get a couple of little teeny bursts and then you get one good one. Well, we can put them on top of each other and make them look better. Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's interesting what they're doing now with these pyrotechnics is, we've got the orange down here with the blue at the edges of it. And then we've also got this magenta. So it's amazing what they're doing.
Well, plus I pushed the colors a bit.
Uh-huh. That's okay. You're supposed to.
processing.
That's okay. That's okay. It's beautiful. That's a good layer. And this is a good
I
layer.
love that
Oh,
one.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, maybe the other one wasn't a layer. Maybe I was wrong. That's not a layer. Then I take that back. I apologize. That's
This
not
one's a layer.
This is the layer.
That is pretty.
Mhm.
That's the one that's layered 4 together.
Uh-huh.
And
Good.
the eyeball, the light there, that's the eyeball,
Uh-huh.
because, I was working, I didn't take the eyeball out on the individual layers and I should have. I was trying to take it out after I flattened it.
Uh-huh.
And the best I could do, because every time I tried to take it out, it just was so wonky that the best I could do was I used the linear gradient
Mm-hmm.
mask. And so the whole bottom part was, I thought, too bright. And so I dropped the exposure and just tried to make the eyeball so it wasn't so intensely bright, but it's still there.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. You did a great job on this one. That's a lot of good work.
Thank you. I worked at it.
Yeah. And then where's this?
Pretty.
This is in Llano. This
Uh-huh.
was
Oh,
actually,
the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge that goes over the river there at Llano.
Yeah.
Dick had, because I had him kind of helping me find firework venues, and he came up with this. It's called River Rockin' Fest or something
Mhm.
like that, and they did it on Saturday night, the 1st.
Hmm.
And so I worked that day and Sunday. So right out of work, came home, fed the cats, and then took off to Llano. And this is, yeah. So I got there early enough. I was able to position myself there right down next to the river because I really liked, I assumed that I was going to get reflection of the fireworks in the river, and I really liked having the bridge in the background.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the bridge. I think the
Yeah.
bridge is really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
tower from the courthouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
the
yeah,
moon,
right. Yeah.
the moon was cooperative in this case, staying behind the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's really good. That's a lot of water in the Llano right now.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which and everything else is not so much. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
for some reason, there is a lot of water in the Llano right now.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought there was that much water right now.
Yeah.
Good.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
This is this one is a little bit different. I didn't crop this one, I think was the thing. I think the other one I cropped because I moved my camera tripod a little bit. I had some high tension wires going across the river just to my right, and I
Uh-huh.
intentionally set up so they wouldn't be in frame. And then when the fireworks started, they were not in exactly the spot that I thought they were going to be in. So
Uh-huh.
I moved my whole setup, not remembering that those wires were there, and then they
Ah.
got in frame. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, I forgot
Yeah.
about those wires.
Yep. Yeah. 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 It's beautiful though. It's very good. And nice starburst on the lights, good reflection in the water. It's beautiful. And it's not a real fast shutter speed because you can see how much movement you've got in your water.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And the little bit of twilight still left in the sky. So that's nice.
I think the reason why I got such longer shutter speeds than I thought I would get or wanted to get, because some of them are just turned white because too many fire bursts at one time,
Uh-huh.
is, and I didn't realize it until after the fact, and I was thinking about it. I had my metering on multi, and I think with this, I was at 24 or 26 millimeters, and there's so much of the framing that's dark. I should have had it on spot.
No,
No?
no,
No, I was right to have it on multi?
you were right
Okay.
to leave it on multi. It's just, how long the shutter is going to stay open. So you're right to play with your different, either your f-stops or your shutter speeds, whatever, to vary it.
Yeah.
But if you would have done spot meter, unless your camera has spot meter follows focus point, you would have metered right on this area.
Yeah,
right?
no, I can, as long as I am in spot focus, whether
Uh-huh.
it's just spot focus or expand
Uh-huh.
expand spot, whatever, you know what I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to say. My metering, I can make it so that my metering follows my focus.
Good. Good. So see, that would be right over here.
Yeah, and that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. If I had
Mhm.
done that, maybe then my shutter speeds would have been faster.
I think it's good,
Okay.
but I would have left it on multi. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love your twilight. We've got a little bit of pinpoint
Yeah.
stars. So remember, this is another
Mhm.
one where, okay, if there are going to be stars, so this fireworks display would have been 8:30 or 9, right, Sarah?
They started the fireworks at, what time did they start the fireworks in Llano? I think it was like 9:30, 9:20.
9:30 or 9:20. Well, it must be because of the moon that we've got as
Yeah.
much light in the sky as we do.
It was
See,
a real bright moon.
ours here in the Woodlands started at 9:30, which is much, much darker than when they started at 9.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, great shot.
Moon
I think
was-
you
Yeah, the
did
moon
good.
was real bright that night.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Because it was that official full moon night. Yeah. And then I like this one. This one's pretty.
This was the very first one that
Oh,
I
that's
took.
pretty.
And then when I looked through the viewfinder, I was like, oh, no, that's not where I thought. And then I moved the camera, and after I
Uh-huh.
got home and looked at everything, it's like, darn, I should have just left it where it was, because that's the first one and I like it the best.
But I like your reflection in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I like your reflection in the water because there's almost too much stuff up here.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
all right. So then, when I
Yeah.
initially looked in the viewfinder, I'm like, oh, and then
Yeah.
I reset up after that.
I do like this blurry water though, underneath the bridge.
This was like a
Oh.
6-second exposure.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So I do like that. That's pretty. It's a great location. It's a wonderful location. to
I
do.
am going to be going there next year. It
Mhm.
would never been there before, and it is a wonderful location to
Yeah.
do fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's not on 4th of July, right?
Yeah, well, no, they do it on, well, this year anyway, they did it on the Saturday before, because it's an
Yeah.
all-day event. It's the only time that they allow jet skis
Uh-huh.
on the Llano River here, and they have a
Uh.
jet ski competition.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. It's a good reason, it's a good reminder to watch out for all these little festivals that might have fireworks displays,
Yeah.
or events that might have a fireworks display. We've got one, for instance, here that'll happen on Labor Day. And, unless you notice that some of these fireworks displays go on throughout the year, you might think that only 4th of July has fireworks. That's pretty good job.
That's another layer. That's
Uh-huh.
from my backyard, actually, right off my back porch.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think this was Sunday night, I think, and I wasn't anticipating. I figured they were either going to do it Saturday night or on the 4th. Some people that live down the hill from us, they spend quite a bit of money, I'm assuming, each year for fireworks. And they're given that they're down the hill, I've got a beautiful vantage point right off my back patio.
Mhm.
And Sunday night, I'm out watering my plants, and the first one goes up, and I'm like, quick, grab my camera
Yeah.
and tripod. And so, because it's a homegrown thing, they go up one at a time,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
a space between them. So this is actually 5 of them layered together.
Very good.
Oh,
Very
nice.
good. Yes, I'm on a golf course and I have 3 neighbors that apparently compete with each other over
Oh.
who can do the best homegrown fireworks display. And this year I just listened to it. I didn't go out and do it. But yeah, it's, some of this, it's not bad. It's in some ways better than the big ones,
It was certainly easier to photograph because
Sure.
it was one burst,
Uh-huh.
that's it. And then
Yeah.
you've got 15, 20 seconds before
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
burst.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Beautiful.
And this was before the fireworks started
Uh-huh.
in Llano. I was just, because I had stood there at my spot for a good period of time before, and I just every now and then I'd look and go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll take a picture now.
Beautiful. And this again is on Saturday night. So we've got the moon coming up in the twilight sky. So
Yeah.
it's nice. Very pretty.
That's at 24. Oh,
Yeah.
that's not 24.
No.
This
this-
this was before the full moon. This
Uh-huh.
was no, this was Thursday. This was the last Thursday, the night after our last class. I went outside, and
Orders.
the moon was no
Mhm.
clouds. The moon was so bright
Yeah.
that night. I just pulled out the camera and to
Mhm.
take pictures of the partial moon. And this is actually, 600 cropped.
Mhm. Mhm. But this is those couple of nights before the actual full moon, or now after the full moon, and we can see those craters, and we've just got lots more definition in the craters.
That's what I really liked about it, is the fact that on that edge, the shadowed
Uh-huh.
edge there, you can really see the crater.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. And then here's the full moon night.
That's full moon night, yeah.
Mhm.
600 cropped, yeah.
Mhm. Very good. Very good. Now, also going into fall. So next full moon is for August, September, and October. It's worth it to just sit there and photograph the moon because that's when we see the migratory birds going in front of the moon.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
Okay.
if you just kind of sit there for a while and, watch, you'll see birds fly.
Yep, September.
September and October, you'll see them. So
Like,
Oh, yeah.
like
yeah.
about what, 100, 200 millimeter?
Oh, no,
or-
you need to do this millimeter. So you still need to do your 600
lens.
millimeter.
And you'll get the birds?
You'll see the birds occasionally. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
yeah. And if you get real, real lucky, it's the airplane, but that doesn't happen very often.
Oh,
But I have gotten the birds one time, and one, sitting there, I started noticing, oh my gosh, there's birds flying in front of the moon. And so it was just the migratory birds flying at night.
oh, I will watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just makes it fun. You have to sit there, like Harvey could sit with binoculars and just tell you, oh yeah, here's some, click, here's some, click, see if you
Uh-huh.
get anything. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love all the definition in this. It's really, really pretty.
Thank you. This
It's
was what the full moon was disappearing behind the clouds. And so I just took it
I
like,
like that.
bye moon.
Yeah.
That was my last shot. It
Yeah.
didn't have many opportunities because it wasn't real high in the sky and there were the clouds and it was like, bye.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
This was the night before the full moon.
Uh-huh.
And so it does obviously bisected by the clouds, but
Yeah.
I like clouds in front of the moon or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah,
And this is with the this is off the corner of my patio.
Uh-huh.
You can see at the bottom, that's the horizon down there
Mm-hmm.
with the lights, and then there's a tree in the
Tree,
foreground.
yeah.
But
Okay, now here's your light painting.
this is my whoops.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
No, this is a total whoops. So when you're light painting, which is what I was walking around with my light and my headlamp, totally didn't intend to create light trails, but obviously did. So when you are light painting, how do you not create the light trails?
You have to not let the camera see the light. So your light has to stay, I shield it in front of my body many times, like my headlight, I'll put it in front of my body, or you put it off to the side and let it light from the side so that you're not walking around.
But if you are walking around something like Lynette did her house,
Yeah.
so obviously she's walking around. So Lynette, you kept the light source hidden between your body, between the light and the camera.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I was holding it, pointing it to the front, my front, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I wasn't smart enough to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but it's a good oops. I like it.
I like the colors.
I think it's and what's the red light?
My headlamp, I was wearing a hat and I have a little clip on headlamp
Oh,
and I had it on red.
Yeah.
red.
I didn't really need it at that moment because I had the Lume Cube in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just didn't bother to turn it off.
Yeah. And by the way, the red light, supposedly we're supposed to use that because it helps our eyes adjust to the light and all that other stuff. For a lot of the people that are doing light painting now, they're saying no red lights, because if we need to get rid of a white light, it's super easy to do. But if we need to get rid of red, it's very hard to do.
Oh,
So a lot of people that have the photo groups and they're doing the light painting, they're telling people no red lights because it's so hard to get rid of.
Okay.
now my headlamp also has a green light.
Uh-huh.
Would that be a better choice or is that equally difficult?
It's equally difficult.
Okay,
yeah.
any colored light.
Yeah. Where if you're around astronomers, they're all using red, which is perfectly fine because that helps your eyes adjust and all that stuff. But if we're trying to get that out of a photo, it's really, really hard to get red out of a photo.
So basically no light.
Well, yeah, but you can, we can swipe out the Lume Cube a little bit easier than we can do the red. Yeah.
Good to know.
So this one's good. I love it. But then here you are. Yeah.
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 Where is your light here, Sarah?
That is 16 tea lights,
The tea lights.
16 of them. And I had a devil of a time trying to get them placed where you could see light but not see the tea lights. And I think I
Mhm.
did. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
That was a bad spot.
Uh-huh.
I think I did lightly light it up because you can see the bottom of the grass there is lighter
Uh-huh.
with a little bit of Lume Cube because the front of the stump was still so dark. And I couldn't put a tea light there because then whatever I did with the tea light towards the front was like an eyeball staring at you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you have to hide them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
beautiful though.
when I
Yeah.
thought about it later, I thought, darn it, if I had had some two-sided sticky tape,
Uh-huh.
now then that's what I needed. Then I really could have achieved maybe what I wanted to have because I could have stuck it to different places hidden, but
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
I wasn't bright enough in the moment to think about using some double-sided sticky tape to stick them where they'd be hidden and put them maybe more strategic
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. We lost Lynette, so we'll just keep talking to her like she's here. Okay. So
Okay.
she can hear it on the recording. And then this one, I think you did a darn good job. This is just the
Oh.
Lume Cube, right?
This is just the Lume Cube,
Uh-huh.
and I had it set to the warm light, as you can tell, and then just to the one side, and that's that.
And it casts the shadow. So
Yeah,
you've obviously got it over on this side,
that is correct.
but it's good because it casts the shadow and it gives us all of the shadowed light in there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Fantastic.
tried and tried to come up with I wanted to light paint a building or a larger area, but I just wasn't coming up with ideas. Here at the house, well, you saw the neighbors across the street. So my house is light painted, period.
Yeah.
And the back of the house is kind of sort of the same way because the people down the hill have a lady that has about 5 acres and strategically placed all through her 5 acres. She's got light poles with these huge lights like you have in the parking lot
Yeah.
all over her property.
Wow.
She must be scared of something.
I know it or doesn't even know it,
Yeah.
and yeah. 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 Well, it's beautiful. I really like it. It's very,
Oh,
very good.
good.
Yeah.
I worked at it. I made
Yeah.
I was out there quite a while that night making many a try and many, no, that light's too bright. No, that exposure's too long. I made probably 50 trips back and forth between looking at the camera and up
Yeah.
there.
Very good. Now, what happens if you layer these two?
Oh,
Because then you get the front lighting plus the lighting of the tea lights.
oh, I'll have to
See,
look at that.
see if you can layer those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I like the tea lights. Tea lights are amazing. It's
Yeah.
just interesting how little light it gives, but it's very nice.
And
Yeah.
I made certain when I ordered tea lights that I ordered tea lights that were in the warm range
Uh-huh.
of lights.
Oh.
They're not variable. You can get white tea lights or you can get warm tea lights, and I got
Oh,
warm ones.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
some of the fancy ones, I think you can switch back and forth between the two.
Oh,
But
wow,
you
that's
can
fancy.
get bright white tea lights and you can get warm tea lights, and I got warm ones on purpose.
Very good. Very good. Very good. It's amazing those little guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. I'm going to send Lynette a real quick text. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
just
raining heavy and I lost my connection. Okay. Okay. I'll tell her
yeah,
we're
'cause
still here.
she's on Starlink, so and with heavy rains, that's probably, it's lost the.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
she's
just
coming back.
oh, she's back.
She's coming back.
We'll see. We'll wait for her to get in. Hey, there you are.
Kathy, I'm here, but I can't see you though. I don't know what's going on with me.
We
There you
can
go.
see you.
That's okay.
It
Can
knocked out my Starlight.
Yeah. Yeah. I got your text, but we're good. Can you hear us? You can hear us and see us?
Yes,
Okay, good. Okay.
yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
So we have some fun stuff this month. I happened to get an email about this, so I thought, well, I'll just pass this along because you all understand this now. On the 7th, Saturn and the moon will be super close together, and I estimate, based on translating Greenwich Mean Time, it'll be about 10:05 p.m. our time, Central Time. And then on the 11th, Jupiter and the moon are close together, but it'll be about midnight. And then Mercury, Mercury's very, very small, so it's really hard to see Mercury. Mercury on the 19th, but it's right around sunset. So once again, the sun is really low in the horizon, and so it's going to be difficult to see. And then Venus is going to be on the 20th. But this should be really, really neat because Regulus and Mars are also close by. So Regulus is that really bright summer star that we get. Gary and I tend to vacation in Big Bend every year at this time in July, and Regulus is always a treat to see in the sky because it's so big. And then on the 21st, we have Mars. So we have Regulus, Venus, and Mars who form a triangle around the moon on the 21st. So this might be interesting. And Lynette, you're just going to, where you are in Alaska, you're just going to have to look because it's a different time and different place in the world.
Yeah. I'll do that.
But if you do notice these brighter objects next to the moon, know that they're the planets, except when we get on the 20th and 21st, then it's Regulus.
Okay.
So just, just something different in the night sky now that you're out there looking at it so that you can see what it looks like.
Just has to be not cloudy.
Just not cloudy.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And the good thing too about these is that you don't have to go anywhere special. So, these are off the back porch type of events. So hopefully you can at least be able to see them. And so it makes it kind of fun. Reminding you about white balance, that your white balance in your night sky changes the colors of things and changes the way things look. So this is a before and an after. So that's my raw file and that's my processed file. So your white balance makes a big deal, and your processing does too. And then also your white balance makes a big deal. So this is straight out of the camera of the Mystica in Cordoba. But use your white balance tool and just touch one of these areas with your white balance tool. That's the little eyedropper in your Lightroom or your Photoshop or your Adobe Camera Raw. You just touch something that should be white as a reference, and then that changes the white balance to that. So it depends on which one you like. I tend to like the more golden appearance. Yeah. That's because we were all raised on the Kodak Gold. That's the color that we got in the night sky, but a lot of people tend to like the more realistic. So it just depends on what you want. So just remember that we've got different things with that white balance that can change some of our night objects. And then when you're doing the Milky Way, because we are going into Milky Way season, then I don't have a before and after here, but when it comes out of the camera, it's got this sort of muddy, greenish, brownish color. And all you've got to do is take your temperature slider, move it more toward the blue, and you get a blue sky for your Milky Way. So it just kind of comes out of the camera looking a little bit on the dull side, but we just got to change the white balance just a little bit. I think I did that on one of Lynette's pictures somewhere.
Yeah, you did it on one of mine.
Yeah, one of yours, Sarah. Okay.
Yeah. It looked a lot better.
Yeah. And then in case you need it, I think both of you are okay on the Velo Shutter Boss, but in case you ever need it, or, it's whatever, I've got a little video that shows you how to set it up for star trails. So it's just on my YouTube channel, just in case you need it.
I watched it in order to figure out what to do with one
Oh,
week.
good.
I did
Good.
too.
It helped.
I did.
Good, good. It helped. It
Yeah.
helped. And remember that as we travel, because both of you are travelers, but as we travel, we get the sky changes. So down in Costa Rica, Lynette, this is down in Guanacaste, down in Costa Rica. And as we get closer to the equator, the North Star gets lower and lower on the horizon. And then as we cross the equator going into the southern hemisphere, then we're using the Southern Cross. And once again, it stays low on the horizon the closer we are to the equator, and then moves higher and higher up in the sky. And so we can do star trails using the North Star or the Southern Cross, but just remember that it's going to change based on where we are. And this, by the way, the clouds here were illuminated by the rising moon. And you see that the foreground is illuminated, and that's because the moon came up later in the night. And then as the moon came up, then it just washed out my picture, and I didn't use the photos from there on in the blend. But as the moon came up over the horizon, it did light up my foreground. So be sure you're focused. I think I mentioned that one time before. Be sure you're focused, because otherwise you just waste all your time and you waste your photo. So be sure that you're focused. Keep it tight, keep it sharp. This is at Block Creek on their windmill. And so keep it tight, keep it sharp. So Sarah, this is between Fredericksburg and Comfort,
Right.
on a nice dark sky night. And then here is the Milky Way. This is Block Creek again. This is between Comfort and Fredericksburg. So not too far away from where you are, but probably another, hour into the drive west? Half hour driving west?
Hour to hour and a half.
Hour. Yeah. So we've still got a little bit more time going west for you, but then we can get the Milky Way. And this is a summer sky again. So this would have been an August sky. So it is possible, can get it, but we got to have a dark night. And then this is Fredericksburg in the distance there. So it is possible. And the processing here, I just wanted to show you where my sliders were compared to the original photo. So the texture, the vibrance and saturation, like I always use, but then a lot more clarity. And that helps to kind of darken the dark area of the sky. And Lynette, you might try that on your fireworks where you had the smoke.
Yeah.
Try that a little bit.
Okay.
And then you see that the exposure is brought up. And then there's a lot more contrast added. The blacks are brought up a little bit. And then you see the temperature is brought way down into the blue area.
Okay.
So that just kind of gives you a little idea. And this one was at 15 seconds with the 16 millimeter lens. So just to give you a little idea that we really do have to process these things to pull all that stuff out. And remember, you have that on the recording in the event that you wanted. Okay. Whoops, I clicked done down there at the bottom. I thought I was done instead of the next one. Done with that one. And then painting your foreground when you're doing your star trails. So you only have to do it once again on one or two of the pictures in the foreground. And so here is the skeleton of the saguaro cactus. My parents lived out in southern Arizona where they had the saguaros. You see that we've got the Big Dipper right behind it. You can see over on the left photo, we got the Big Dipper. And so the saguaro is just light painted, and then the star trails begin afterwards. So you can blend the light one with the dark foreground, or in this case, I happen to like the dark foreground better. So you don't have to do much painting on your foreground objects. And then here's another example of the light painting on the foreground. So here's the star trail. And then if I did just a plain pinpoint star with the painted objects in the front, then that's what it would look like. And once again, I found that I didn't like the painted foreground as much as I liked the more dark foreground. And this is down near Refugio, on a ranch down there. So still good night sky for that. Oh, and here's the blended one of the two of them. Yeah. Now, another thing that you've got to watch out with, if you're going to do this one little painted object like this is pinpoint stars with the painted foreground. This is then the star trail. So I like the painted foreground, get the camera all set up, start doing the star trail, go away, go to sleep. When you blend those, if there was a break between when you painted the foreground, then you're going to get that little break in your stars. And so if you are going to paint the foreground, I suggest you do it on your first 4 minutes. And then that way we don't have that little teeny weeny break. Because it's just one of those little things that you kind of notice. And then here's another goofy thing that you can do. And this is one pinpoint star. And then while the exposure is going on, it says zoom slowly and then leave the camera for the rest of the exposure. So it's half at one zoom and half at the other zoom with a very slow move in between.
Oh,
So for example, you went from like 24 to 35
Mm-hmm.
in that
16
direction?
to 35.
16
So
to 35.
16 to 35, and then that would be a 15-second exposure. So probably 4 seconds on the first, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds as I'm turning, and then go ahead and let it stay at 35 millimeters.
So very slow.
Very slow. Yeah.
With,
but
your
yes, but it's got to be a very slow, otherwise you don't get the streak. So if you do
just
a
like,
fast, yeah.
camera in motion or
intentional.
Yeah, intentional camera motion. Exactly.
movement.
Yeah, intentional
okay.
camera movement. Exactly. And one of the ways to keep this nice and smooth is I have a filter wrench. So it's a plastic wrench with a circle to wrap around your filter and then move it. Well, you can also wrap that around the focus ring of your camera because it has little teeth in it. And now when you zoom like this, you can zoom fairly smooth without having to actually touch the lens.
Oh,
Yeah, because if you touch it, I mean, you're
You're going to get a little shake.
Yeah, because my hand's not that steady anyway.
No. So you can do this.
And
And
you've
the
got image
old way of
stabilization
doing
off.
this, what now, Sarah?
Because you've got image stabilization off.
Off, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, one of the old ways of doing this, and Sarah, Rich would know about this because I went out of focus again when I moved. Rich would know about this from the old days, is we used to put that filter wrench on and then go ahead and put some tape around it so that it's nice and steady. And now when we do our motion zooms, we're just pulling the little handle around. Yeah.
And even less chance for any shake. Cool.
Gotcha.
Cool. That is cool.
So just kind of an interesting little technique, just a fun little technique. And in this one, it works really well because there's a little bit of light still on the horizon down here. And so it gives that little streaky appearance going through there.
Right.
So, kind of different, And this is the same thing, but on the night sky, on the stars. So it kind of gives you that. So it gives you that Star Trek appearance. So it's the pinpoint stars, and we were going to do, in my case, 15 seconds. So in that pinpoint stars, then it's just slowly zooming all the way from 16 to 35. Yeah. So once again, just out playing with your camera at night.
Then did you let it sit at 35 or did you just stop once you hit 30?
It's pretty much, let me see. I let it stop. It looks like I let it stop to get the mountains in Big Bend. So I let it stop there. And then it looks like I just zoomed all the way through the rest of the exposure because there's no real strong definition of the mountains down here on the bottom. So just another goofy thing that you can play with. And then if you really get into this, there's this little gadget called a move, shoot, move. And yes, it's only $199 instead of $249. I can't tell you the sale's still going on. But this move, shoot, move rotates your camera with the earth. So your camera is moving so that we can do longer Milky Ways and get much more definition in our Milky Ways. So it's a simple, easy to use star tracker. Yeah. Typical of all camera gadgets. They are very simple and easy to use. I don't know about that. So this is what it looks like once you get everything installed. So yes, here's the move, shoot, move right here that you need. So that's on your ball head, but then you have to have another ball head to fit on the move, shoot, move.
Oh, and that's probably not included.
No, that's not included. So this is like, a $29 ball head. And then you have to, and luckily it has the Arca Swiss plate. So it's the same as the regular ones that we use on our Me Photos. And then you put the camera on it. And then when you touch it, it takes a 4-minute exposure and it rotates with the earth. So you get a more detailed Milky Way.
Little funny story. When I was having so much trouble seeing through my camera at the night sky and I didn't realize I had the peaking on, that was the issue. I just happened to be down to Precision Camera. And I had taken my camera with me and I looked around to see, who's in here that I know and I really know Sony. And I don't know if you know him or not, Joshua.
No, so you're at a different store than
Yeah,
I am.
right, exactly.
Austin.
Yeah. But Joshua was there and he worked for Sony for like 10 years.
Mm.
And so I'm like, help me, Joshua. And he goes, well, the first thing is that he came up with right off, he goes, you probably got your peaking on. And so sure enough, I did. But anyway, he says, well, were you trying to take pictures of? And I told him, and he goes, well, what kind of star tracker are you using? And I'm going, I'm not using a star tracker. And he was like, what? You can't possibly be taking pictures of the night sky without a star tracker.
Yes, you can. So anyway, this is the move, shoot, move star tracker. And it is pretty cool. But if you're going to use it, so this is a 4-minute exposure. If you're going to use it, and this is at Block Creek, so this gives you an idea of how many stars you can actually see in a relatively lit up location. But if you're going to use it, we have to take one still image and then layer it so that, because the foreground is going to be blurry. So that still image needs to not have a lot of little details. Because then when you try to overlay them on top of each other and paint out your blurred image, then you've got all kinds of little bars and things that you've got to paint out. So this works really well if we've got a mountain range. It works really well if we've got enchanted rock in front of us. But if you've got trees, it doesn't work. It's a pain.
So you just go ahead and layer and you see the blurred images and then you just have to, in post-processing, just work at painting out the blurs.
And I don't have that much, attention span. Because even this one was hard. I never really accomplished it because then you've got each one of the poles and I never really accomplished it. And then here's the other one that I really loved. And once again, you can see how many stars we can actually see in the night sky in the Texas Hill Country. But the wind kicked up and the wind blew all of these trees around. So trying to layer the static image on top of all those moving leaves I don't have the attention span for it. And it just never worked for me. So here's the static image. That's what it should look like. And then when I layered it on top of this, you could never get all the little spaces between all the leaves to look normal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just, it just doesn't work. So
You still have plenty of stars in the sky in the static image.
Yeah.
you still do. It's a lot of stars in this, you know, and it's that 15-second exposure so that we've got the pinpoint stars. So, you know, you still have to have the static image. And then there are these little goofy things you can use. So this one, for instance, is Star Trail software, and we can make a video. No, this isn't a Star Trail software. It's not. Watch. So I'm taking each one of my 4-minute exposures. Whoops, go back. I'm taking each one of my 4-minute exposures and I'm making a time lapse with it. And you can make a time lapse in Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw. And then the instructions are on my blog. If you go to my blog and you go to make a time lapse, you'll see how to do it. It's real simple. You layer them. You open them in a layer into Photoshop, and then there is an unseen bar that you can activate down at the bottom of your Photoshop screen from Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw. So there's this unknown bar that we've never seen before that you can activate, and that's your time lapse.
Wow.
So we can make a time lapse right from Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw. And I think they've improved it and made it easier to use. So here's another one. And this is, once again, my 4-minute exposures all blended together into a little time lapse. There you go. And then here's another one. And, oh, kitty tail.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Here's another one. And this is little time lapse. There you go. Of all the little 4-minute exposures, and then the final star trail. Now, I show you this one because I didn't set my focus properly, and this turned out to be a really nice long star trail with the moon coming up, but I didn't focus before I went to bed. So I ended up with a blurred star trail. And you'll notice, watch it one more time. We start in the dark sky, see the moon come up and light up the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a salvaging a rotten star trail with a time lapse. And then here's another one. And this is just, I think this is like a 30-second exposure because you see my streaks at the end, but it's clear right here. So I think this is like a 30-second exposure, and turn it into a star trail. And now watch all the lights come on in the Casbah.
Wow.
So once at the end of the, well, never mind. Never mind. I answered my own question. Never mind.
Well, you know, first of all, I messed up because I didn't set my shutter right. It was 30 seconds instead of 4 minutes. So first of all, I messed up. And then the lights came on in various places around the Casbah and ended up lighting everything up. So instead of just throw it away, well, turn it into a time lapse. So, you know, sometimes we just have to take those lemons and turn them into lemonade. So it's a simple little time lapse that we can do with our star trail. There we go. And then this is, you can use, am I on tracker? Let me move you all around so that I can see what I'm on. Yeah, this is called Star Trail Tracker. It's a software that you can use, Star Trail Tracker. software you can use. And now it's going to make the star trail for me. So it's called Star Trail Tracker, and it'll make your little video for you. It's a little piece of software you can buy. And this is Star Trail Tracker. Also, this is another night sky that I messed up down in Costa Rica, and I'd set my shutter speed for pinpoint stars and didn't reset it for star trails 4 minutes. And so I ended up with just a whole bunch of pieces. And that's what I get with Star Trail Tracker. So I ended up with just the sky moving.
Mhm.
And then it went ahead and I told it to go ahead and make the build upon star trail. So once again, you kind of had a mess up, but I used the Star Trail Tracker to salvage it.
Cool.
I like the different colors in the sky.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of see what was going on all night long. And this is in Costa Rica. So the North Star is down below the horizon. And you can see how the night sky changes as the night goes on. Probably the moon's coming up or something like that. Yeah. So don't feel like just because you messed up that there's not a way you can salvage this and at least turn it into something. And this is the time lapse of the Milky Way moving through the sky. So this, once again, is just a whole bunch of single exposures. Click the shutter and let it keep, or click the Velo shutter boss and let it keep taking pictures. So this is 15-second exposure after 15-second exposure after 15-second exposure after 15-second exposure as the Milky Way is setting. And whoops. Let my computer catch up with me for just a second. There we go.
So on those, did you have it set for like several hours? Let it run for several hours?
Yeah. So this is a Milky Way time lapse. So the camera's just taking Milky Way after 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 Milky Way.
Cool.
And then turn them into a time lapse. So this is one camera sitting over on the other side, just taking shot after shot after shot after shot after shot after shot.
What's the limit of how many shots the time lapse part of?
There's no limit.
Oh,
And the Velo will turn off at 399.
yeah. So the software and the Adobe Camera Raw will just however many.
However many you have. Exactly. And this is also a good example of take more than you think you're going to need, because this is about, there goes a plane through there. This is about each frame is, I've got it set for something like 24th of a second, I think it is. And so if you don't take enough pictures, you're not going to have much of a time lapse.
Right.
So that's probably about an hour. And then here is a video, because remember that we can also do video. So this is, there it is. This is the lunar eclipse with a video. Yeah, still going. And you can barely see the moon getting brighter and brighter and brighter over on the left-hand side.
Mhm.
Wow.
So remember that your camera will do video as well as time lapse. So you could do that as a time lapse if you wanted to, or you could do it just simply as a video. And then these are called light orbs. And this is just totally stupid. That's all it is. It's just totally stupid. But this, has either of y'all done light orbs? Have I done them with either one of you all? No. Okay. So you're going to get a little tiny flashlight, little LED flashlight, or a little tiny flashlight. I have one that has a little cord on the end of it, you know, kind of like you'd have on your keychain. And then I get a cord and tie the cord to the end of that little flashlight. And then to make your light orb, you have to stand up, and I'm going to show you right here, but you put your elbow in your waist, and then
Mhm.
you put your arm out 90 degrees. And
Mhm.
off of the end of your hand, you're holding your flashlight on your cord. Then you have to find a point on the ground. So I usually put a leaf down. And now you have to swing the flashlight on your 90-degree angle. So you're swinging your flashlight on your 90-degree angle, and you have to walk your body around the flashlight. So you have to walk around the pivot point with your body. That's the hard part. So your pivot point for your flashlight stays in exactly the same spot. You have to walk around the pivot point. If you do it just right, you get this ball of yarn or ball of string. And then this is 3 of those orbs. So I've obviously layered this. Then this pathway is painted with a blue flashlight. And then as I was walking, I also painted my feet. So
Oh,
I'm bending over, and as I'm walking, I'm painting each foot as I'm walking. So this ends up being about 9 photos to do this.
how long was your string? I mean, it looks like it had to have been fairly long, unless I just don't have the right perspective as to how big your light orb is.
You want it to be fairly long, but not too long, because it can't hit the ground.
About a foot.
Oh, that's true. And if you're
Yeah.
holding it, at your waist,
Yeah, yeah.
to
So
have a steady point.
yeah. So it's about a foot.
Mhm.
So it's fun. These are light orbs. And then this is totally crazy, but a lot of fun. And photographers will do this sometimes when we're out together. So this is my friend in a boat in the middle of a lake. And he has taken a piece of steel wool and put it into a metal whisk that we use in baking. And the metal whisk has a metal chain attached to it. And then if you light the steel wool on fire,
Oh,
it just engulfs in flames.
Hmm.
I didn't know steel wool would light on fire, but it does. It's a good thing I didn't know that as a child, because we had steel wool around the house all the time when I was a kid. So, we would have lit that stuff on fire all the time. You can also light it on fire with a battery, a 9-volt battery, those that you used to put your tongue against, that'll
Yeah.
light it also. And
Mhm.
then when the steel wool is in flames, you're swinging it in front of you so that the steel wool is flailing out all around you.
I
Obviously,
see.
you don't want to do this in drought conditions or anything that's going to catch on fire. Yeah.
No kidding. Now, this
Yeah.
looks like this is at what, and is that water?
It's in water.
Yeah. He's in a boat in a
Oh,
lake.
he's in a boat. You said that. He's in a
Yeah.
boat.
He's in a boat in a lake. But it's interesting because look how one of the little pieces of steel wool bounced off the water right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is safe to do in a parking
In
lot
water.
or around water.
Water.
Yeah.
Lynette, you and I could set the whole countryside on fire.
Yes.
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 And unfortunately, photographers have done that. Yes, because it is crazy. Here's another one where he's
Okay.
standing. So you see he's standing in the boat, and then
And doing it over
he's
his
swinging
head.
it overhead. Yeah. So it is something where it's fun, it's interesting, it takes really good photographs, but you can hear 20 photographers going, "Oh, I didn't get that one. Do it again." So that wasn't a good angle for me. That was
That
too
would be
low.
me.
Yeah. This is where you got to get it, but it is fun when it's done. It's very fun. This is a friend of mine. She has a small
Wow.
lake on her property, and in their small private lake, they have a dock that goes out. And so her husband was able to stand on the end of the dock and light the steel wool so that everything was going over the water. This is a mini fisheye lens. So this is a 10 millimeter lens. That's why the bending of the trees here. And this is it's a really cheap lens. You can see the edges right there, even of the lens hood. So this is a really cheap lens, but I bought it strictly for this kind of mini fisheye look.
So do you suppose you'd get arrested in Galveston if you went out to like the water's edge and did this? Do you think they'd come and arrest you?
They might want to know what you're doing. And we have done it at Feather Fest with permission from the beach patrol. But yeah, we have done it over the beach before. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you're not careful where you are, I think you can get in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
So this is still the steel wool, Kathy?
This is the steel wool.
Steel
Yeah.
wool in a beater.
In a whisk. And
In a
then
whisk,
tied to
yeah.
a chain with a mitt.
Okay.
You got to have the barbecue mitt, of course.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
wouldn't hurt to wear a heavy shirt too.
exactly. Yeah, so you got to be kind of careful for doing this one. This one's crazy, but this is a little bit more logical. So this is a whole bunch of Christmas lights
Oh,
wrapped around a dowel,
Oh,
so that
dowel.
this is different colors of Christmas lights, and it's just wrapped around a dowel, a long dowel. And then the husband is standing out here. He's in the middle, and all he's doing is just turning it around like this.
oh, it's not even going all the way around in
No.
a circle.
Not even going all the way around in a circle.
and
So
how many
it's-
photos is that? Is that layered, Kathy?
No, this one's not layered.
Just one.
Yeah, and you see by the
a long
stars.
exposure. Okay.
Yeah, see by the stars, that's probably a
Yes.
30-second exposure. So
Okay.
if we would have done probably less exposure, then we could have layered it. And then the moon's coming up over the trees.
Yes.
Yeah. And then this right here, this flame on the dock is an orange Christmas light that you buy at Halloween time. And it's just shaken along the dock.
Oh.
Yeah. And these are battery powered Christmas lights, which
So-
by the way, are very gentle, very delicate. And you don't want to move them around too much. And you do want to tape down the cord that comes out of the battery pack, because that breaks immediately.
Yeah. Okay.
What kind of f-stop were you using?
I probably, to get the long exposure, I bet you I'm
Yeah.
just at f/22. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just focused on the lights there. So crazy, And then another thing is, if you're around, like in this case, this is the Williams Tower in Houston.
Yeah, Maria.
But if you're around a lighthouse or anything that's got the beam that's going around on the top of it,
Mhm.
if you do a long exposure, the beam just blurs out. But if you do a short exposure, you get the beam in like we want it to look. So this is a 1/4 second exposure as the beam goes around. And luckily it was kind of cloudy and hazy that night, so we got some clouds in the beam. But in the event that you ever find yourself around a lighthouse or anything else that's got that beam on the top of it that goes around, if you want to see that one little shaft of light, it's got to be a short shutter speed, not a long shutter speed. Because otherwise the long shutter speed, the beam of light just goes all the way around and you don't see anything.
Blur.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to do that short shutter speed to get that Batman beam to come out. So just, little things where every once in a while your brain's got to kick in and you got to think about different ways of doing things. So that, oh,
Ah, good.
lightning. So
Good.
here's the lightning thing. And as we start
Ah.
maybe getting into monsoon rains, let's fingers crossed, maybe we can get into some open skies. So both of you, Lynette and Sarah, you all live in areas where you can see the horizon.
Mhm.
I can't see much of my horizon, and because of where I am, because I'm more in the trees, I can see a little horizon, but not much. So lightning is much better when we are someplace where we can see the horizon. And we have to do long shutter speeds. So this is setting your shutter to 30 seconds. And then just picture after picture after picture after picture at 30 seconds. So f/22, ISO 100, and then 30 seconds, because this one is more of a twilight sky, which is the easiest type of lightning for me to get, either twilight sky or totally dark sky, because during the day, lightning is much, much harder to get because the sky's lit up. So these long bolts are the result of your 30-second exposure. If you don't use a 30-second exposure, if you use a fast shutter speed, you only get a little bit of the lightning. So you've got to use your 30-second exposure. If I were doing lightning during the day, then I might put on my 5-stop neutral density filter. And then I could do a 30-second exposure at f/22 with ISO 100. So whatever it takes to get you to that long shutter speed. And then this is just one picture after the other, and then they're layered. So this was a really, really phenomenal lightning storm in Big Bend National Park.
Big Bend.
Yeah, but this is about 4 or 5 shots and then layered together. So don't move the camera.
My back patio faces the southeast, and I have a lot of sky horizon in view. And sometimes, given that we face the southeast, we pick up so you can see the storms over where you are.
Oh, yeah.
In the distance, and sometimes
Yes.
you get that lightning that just kind of moves from cloud to cloud and just
Mhm.
lights up the
Mhm.
it, like internally in the
Sure.
cloud.
Sure.
And sometimes it puts on quite the display because
Yeah.
it just keeps going. In that kind of situation, would it be work to set up like the Velo Boss for 30 seconds, like 1 second break, and just let it go?
Exactly. That's why we use it. Yeah, that's what we use it for. And that sheet lightning, which is kind of what I see where I am, is I see a lot of sheet lightning up in the clouds. But then if you've got the camera going and we do get one bolt, then it makes your picture. So yeah, it is worth it just to let it run. Get your composition, let it run, see what happens. And you see that I'm aiming more up at the sky than I am down at the foreground.
Mhm.
So yes, if we do get one of those storms, it's worth it just to set the camera up, get yourself to 30 seconds, and then let's just let it keep going. If nothing shows up, then just throw them away.
Yeah, like a 1 second break in between and
Mhm.
just let it run.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And then here's another one, roughly the same lightning storm. And once again, it's several exposures and then just layered together. And so you end up having to if the clouds are moving really, really fast, you have to wipe out some clouds up here, but you all know how to do that now. So it's not a big deal to layer the images. But long exposures. And the same thing here. And this is just that one exposure, one after the other. This happened over the course of about 30 or 40 minutes, I guess, but really good lightning storms. And Gary and I were just standing around talking to some people, and the camera was just going. And so there weren't any lightning bolts. There weren't any lightning bolts. And then all of a sudden there'd be a massive lightning bolt. And so it was just, you're just kind of letting the camera sit there and see what happens. So that for me is the easiest way to do lightning, especially toward twilight.
Yeah, rather than trying to, oh, there's one.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. No, no. It's not going to work. We're never going to catch it. And we can use the lightning trigger, but I have never found those to work very well. And they tell me, they were at a trade show recently, that they have improved it and it's working a lot better. But we used them on a whole workshop one time in Big Bend. Everybody had one, and we never once got a lightning bolt with a lightning trigger. So 5-stop neutral density filter during the day, shut down, get everything down so that we can get a long shutter speed, and then just let the camera go with the Velo Shutter Boss. Okay, so that is all that I can think of to throw at you all. And you have no more homework.
I can't
Darn.
believe the whole, 4 classes, that's
Yeah.
a month.
Ah.
And it's done.
I know it. I know it. I know it. And just a reminder about things coming up, because Sarah, you're going with me to Florence in September. Are you going on with me to Venice?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So Sarah's with me. Sarah and Rich are with me all the way through Venice. And then Lynette and Harvey, you all are with me in Costa Rica in 2024.
Costa Rica, yes.
Yes. For the
Oh, I
southern.
would love to come with you to Florence and Venice, sure. It's just
You can only do so much, but
Yes,
next year
yes,
also
yes.
in 2024 is Tanzania for the photo safari. And that's amazing. And then also the Pantanal for the jaguars. And that's just crazy, amazing also. Both of those for birds and wildlife. Tanzania is, to me, is the photo safari. You just stop every 5 minutes for something new to photograph. And I had never seen that much wildlife until I went to Pantanal for the jaguars. So Pantanal in Brazil for the jaguars is equally as intense as it is in Tanzania. A lot of bird life. And then Puglia, Italy, no birds. We're just going for the culture. And then we just put a new Costa Rica North trip on in November. Lynette, that's the one you and Harvey did, where you went to
Oh, okay.
McKinkay.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that place.
Mhm.
But we're looking forward to the different
Yes.
to a different part of Costa Rica.
Yes, that's right. So you're going, you did wise to go on this February. Yeah.
And
then-
our flights are booked. And
Yay. We're flying on the same flights. Yeah.
yes.
And then
yes.
2025, if you want to start traveling, if you want to start planning for that one, we're doing Costa Rica again, the central route. And then we're going to New Zealand for birds. And then we're going
Wow.
to Andalusia for culture. And then we're going to Greenland, because I figure before Greenland melts, I better get there and see it.
Yeah, no kidding.
At the rate we're going,
No kidding.
Yeah, we better get there. And Jackie's already been going to Greenland for years, so we've already got that one
Oh.
booked. Yeah. But the New Zealand one, the trip that Jackie had somebody do earlier this year, it turned out that they used a bird guide. And the photo guide wrote me and said, Kathy, this should be your trip. The guide's pointing out birds everywhere. So I contacted Jackie and said,
Greenland?
well, no, in New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I contacted Jackie and said, okay, so let's do it with the bird guide for birds. So we're doing birds for New Zealand in 2025. Yeah.
But it wouldn't hurt to get a kangaroo or two in there.
And
Yes.
that's in New Zealand. So
Oh,
kangaroos
oh.
are over in Australia. Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. But we will get some grand landscapes. And then they do have the marsupials as well. So,
Yes.
it'll be for birds, but we'll also do some grand landscape stuff in there.
What's
that
the
means-
weather? I'm sorry,
go
go ahead.
Go ahead.
What's
We
the
will.
weather? I'm sorry. What's the weather like in Tanzania in May? Is it super hot?
No, it's interesting. Tanzania is cool because it's a flip. So we're kind of going at a springtime for us. So it's
Oh.
kind of the beginning of fall for them. But in Tanzania at night, it gets very cold. And our first trip there, we didn't take fleece and jackets, and we froze to death. And they'll sell you fleece
Oh
at
my
the gift
gosh.
shops, but they are very expensive.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm
And
sure.
then there's one place where we go in Tanzania that's up on the edge of a crater, and it's at 7,000 feet. And it is
that's
very
cold.
cold. Yes, it is very, very cold. So, you know, that's where you've got fireplaces in your rooms and stuff like that. So they put water bottles in your bed at night.
For your feet.
So it's hot during the day, but it's very cold at night. So it's interesting.
Hmm. 2025 is Philippines, so I can't go anywhere.
You have to go to family. Yeah. Well, while you're over in
Yes.
Philippines, just pop over to New Zealand, you know.
I would love to. No, Australia and New Zealand is on our bucket list,
Yeah,
but Hardy
yeah.
wants to go to Africa.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
that
we'll see.
Africa trip is very nice. It's very, very nice.
So,
So thank you all very much. I really enjoyed having you all in class. You all did your homework and it was fabulous. So thank you very much for working so hard. I really do appreciate it. It was just great having you all in here.
I've always enjoyed your classes.